Fred Richani of TSC. I've right here on the line a very special guest. He is one of the best to ever do it. He is a legendary offensive tackle. He is a Seattle Seahawks legend. He is a Pro Football Hall of Famer. He's also an entrepreneur as well and beloved in the Seattle community. We're talking to the legendary Walter Jones right here on TSC. Walter, how's it going?
Oh, man, it's going good, man. How you doing?
Doing all right. I appreciate you taking the time. You're a pretty busy guy these days, and how's everything going in life after football?
Everything's going good, man. I think the cool thing is about it that my kids have graduated from high school, so I throughout my retirement, I got a chance to witness my kids through high school, like from 9th grade to they graduated from high school. So I thought that was a pretty cool situation to be able to share that, when you're playing football when they're born and stuff, so you really don't get a chance to share a lot of stuff. You have your moments, but you really don't get a chance to be able to be a parent. So for me, I thought that the last 10 years been awesome, that I have got a chance to be a parent, to watch my kids, turn into a young adult. So that's totally been cool for me. And I've been doing a little TV stuff, man, just doing some radio stuff, just kind of being a voice for the fans. A lot of times fans want to hear from players and see what their aspect is or watching the game. So I have a great time of doing that and, putting my energy into my clothesline, the B2 EDI, the best to ever do it. Kind of took that, what you said, how you started the show, and kind of put that in a clothes brand. So just to kind of tell people to, whatever you do in life, to be the best at it. No matter what you're doing as a job, if you love it, go out and be the best at doing it.
For sure. Is it kind of weird, though, now to go from being a player to media? Because, on one hand, it's a great gig and you have the perspective of being a Hall of Fame player. But I'm sure when you were playing, there were times when media, whether it be former players or analysts, said some things that maybe you didn't comply with.
Oh, definitely. I totally understand. I think from day one, I reminded them, I reminded myself that I'm a player first. I'm always going to be on the player side. So my job is not here to tell a guy he should be playing or nothing like that. My job is to analyze them. And, if you have a bad game, you have a bad game. But it's not my job to say a guy shouldn't be on the team or should get this, because that's someone's livelihood, that you're messing with someone's family. So I totally understand from that perspective of, when I came to the league, it was all about newspaper. It wasn't as big as it is now with the radio, with Twitter, with all this social media stuff now that people can hear things that they try their best to get away from it. They can't get away from it. So for me, I just try to make sure that I respect the players and respect what they do every day. Tough games can happen, but these guys are professionals and they put a lot of work into it to get to this point of their career. So that's not my job to say what a player should be playing or not playing.
How relieved are you to see Russell Wilson remain a Seahawk? Because before he signed that huge contract extension, there were rumors he might get traded to the Giants. He's given him a certain deadline. I mean, it was kind of crunch time, and then at the 11th hour, ended up signing a contract, and it looks like for the foreseeable future, he's going to be a Seahawk maybe for life.
Oh, that's pretty cool, man. I think it's cool. You set your quarterback up, and in this league, you got to have a bona fide quarterback that can go out there and play football. And this is a quarterback league, so you look at the good teams. The good teams always have their quarterback. So I think what Seattle did was awesome. Now you can build around Russell, or you still can, Pete Carroll is all about defense, so you can still build around your defense. But now you can build your defense back up, and you got your quarterback for the next 6 or 7 years. So I think that's good for that's good for the fans, because what you get from Russell Wilson. That, these quarterbacks that play a long time in one system or play with one organization, they tend to be consistent. So that all Russell's going to do is get better as he continues to keep playing.
In some ways, do you think he's kind of underrated? He's won a title before. Yeah, I always feel like he still has to keep proving himself.
I think in this game you have to. Every year you have to. It's all about what you have done for me lately. And I know the fans are happy that he done brought a Super Bowl to the city. But still, again, it's all about what you do in the playoffs. And I think he has proven that he can make plays in the playoffs. And I think that's what he want to do every year. You listen to him, and I think he's preparing himself for every year. Every year is a different year. So this year he got to be better than last year. So I think now that he's secure, now he can go out there and play at his full potential. And they putting the ball in his hand. That's going to be a big story, I think, to see how much, they're going to let him go out there and play his way of playing football. So it's something to see. But we know that this team is built on running the ball and playing good defense. And for you to have Russell out there that can go out there and win a game for you, you're going to definitely need that in the long football season.
Does it annoy you that we're still getting questions about quarterbacks coming in and their height and all that jazz when we've already seen the success of Russell Wilson and Drew Brees?
I think it's always going to be, it's always going to be a topic of discussion because you always wonder how you're going to have plays set up for a guy that's short. You got linemen that are 6'5" and taller. Can he see over the line? But I think what Drew Brees and Russ have shown that you can find alleys. And, you still, I think those smaller quarterbacks understand how defense is going to try to stop them. Is, the best way you do it is you try to attack him up the middle. And, as a good quarterback, you have to know that. And you have to prepare yourself for that during the season. And I think what Russell and Drew Brees have done is awesome. And it shows that, hey, no matter what people say, if this is your dream, you put everything you got into it, you can definitely make it to the pro level.
Why do you think so many teams right now, Seahawks included, Giants being another team, have had a lot of offensive line issues over the years? I mean, obviously it's not easy, to draft or sign a great player that can mesh with the line and protect the quarterback. But I feel like there's been kind of like an epidemic of teams that are getting it wrong or having trouble finding the right combination.
It's just tough, man. I think it's hard to put five guys together that can collect on every situation in the game. And once you do have that, you look at the great teams. I think Seattle have probably figured out. I think you have to bring offensive-minded coach too. Offensive line coach-minded guys that have been in the fire, have understood how to put five guys together, understand everything that those guys can do and what they cannot do, and that's what you have to do. And it's a hit and miss every year. But once you get those five guys, you want to keep those guys together because you can see with any team every year. Offensively, they kind of start out slow because the offensive line, everybody got to get on the same page. On defense, you can literally just run around and make plays, but on offense, especially the offensive line, you definitely have to play together and come together as a team. And you want to hold those guys together for a long time. And you see the great teams that you look how long these guys have been playing together. And I think that's what you have to do with offensive linemen. It's a tough situation because now with these college teams where some of these guys have never got in a three-point stand. So, and I think in a way that, the pros are trying to get to that type of ball play, but still again, you can see at this point now that you still got to put your hands in the dirt and play football.
9-time Pro Bowler, played your whole career with the Seattle Seahawks, helped them go to a Super Bowl against the Steelers. And legend has it you gave up only 23 sacks in your career. When you were accomplishing all these great things, I mean, were you kind of aware in the back of your mind, like, okay, I've only given up, 1 sack up to this point, 2 sacks up to this point? Like, as a great player, how did you approach it day by day and game by game?
I just try to get better every year, man. I think as players, I think that's what you do. After every season, you sit down with your position coach, and they go through your season, and most of it has been a great job, but there's always stuff that you can work on. And for linemen, there's not a lot of stats that you can make. The quarterback can throw for a lot of yards, or running back can run, but there's really no stats for offensive linemen. So the number one stat that a lot of people look at is sacks. So as a lineman, you want to go out there, and that's something that you don't want to have, sacks. So you go out there, and that's what you try to prevent. The guys getting sacks, because sacks can can change the game. And for me personally, I have some great guys to watch once I came to the league. I think with all offensive linemen, you got to have guys and watch guys that have done it before and watch those guys. I had Anthony Munoz. I had Orlando Pace. I had Tony Baselli. I had Jonathan Ogden. I had Willie Rowe. I had guys that had done it at a very high level. So when I got in the league, it was easy for me to watch those guys and kind of see what they were doing every week. And these guys was, locking these guys out to prevent these guys from sacks. So I knew, hey, for me to get my name out there, that's how consistently I have to play. So that's what I used to do. I would go out there and play consistently and try to dominate the guy that's in front of me. And every year I just try to do it better and better. And, I was blessed to, like you say, I was blessed to be able to stay with one team, to be on a one coach for 10 years. So the offense didn't change for me. So it made it pretty easy to come in and get back to what you left off at and try to get better.
Being as somebody that was able to stay with one team for so long, and now, of course, living in Seattle and being in the media in Seattle, how special to you is that city?
Oh, it's very special for me. I've been here now for 22 years. I call Seattle my home now. My kids was born here. They call Seattle their home, so it's pretty awesome. And I think it's pretty cool for the kids too. Kind of like, hey, my dad played here, and you get a chance to meet the younger fans and the older fans, people that kind of grew up with you when you first got picked, and to see your career throughout, and then see that you ended with getting in the Hall of Fame. So I think it's pretty cool. So anytime I get a chance to get out and meet people or meet fans, it's pretty cool, and they show their respect, and I always take my hat off to the fans because you wouldn't be here without the fans. So anytime I get a chance to meet a Seahawks fan, I give them love, and I try to take pictures with them because they are the true people that make this team what it is.
Have you ever thought about entering some World's Strongest Man competitions? Because when you Google your name and you go on YouTube, there's just clips of you just trucking guys, sending them back to another universe, blocking for Shaun Alexander and all these guys. I mean, there was a running gag back in the day when I used to play Madden in the early days on like message boards before there was a thing called social media, and people would joke that, Walter Jones, pushes SUVs for fun. Have you ever thought about putting that strength to another use other than football, or did you at any point in time?
No, not at all, man. I think I was doing that perfectly for football, and I think that's the only place that it would work. I tell people all the time this body is big, but it's fragile. I played a long time, and I put a lot into the game of football. So I never thought about it as being something that was stronger because what those guys do is pretty amazing, and that's a whole different type of training. So I would never try to say that I'm stronger as those guys, but it never crossed my mind. I was doing, when I played ball, I considered it my job, so I knew what I had to do to prepare myself to get ready to play a 16-game season. So that was one thing that I did, and it definitely helped me out, when you got in those big games when you had to shut guys out.
Seahawks, Steelers, probably the worst officiated Super Bowl in history. Is it weird for you to see that all these years later, the NFL is still having officiating issues, especially with like the Saints and the Rams?
I think it's just part of the game, man. You're putting the game into guys that, sometimes they make mistakes. It's the human element that guys make mistakes. And, as I think about it now with the Steelers, with the Super Bowl, I tell people all the time, I said that we was the number one seed, and we didn't play like a number one seed. The team that we had, we went on an 11-game winning streak. We went through the playoffs, and we got in that one game. And I think that's what makes the NFL so fun, that you never know what's going to happen in any other game. So we, as a team, didn't play our best football. No matter how many calls was not called our way, we didn't make the plays that we was accustomed to making to help us win that game. Because if you're playing perfect football, or you're going out there putting everything out on the line, the referees can't make calls. So I think for me, that's the way that, I finally have got over that we didn't play our best football, because we was playing some pretty good football until we got to that Super Bowl.
This might be a loaded question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you started out your career again and you could pick only one option, Hall of Fame career or Super Bowl ring, what would you pick?
I would go with the Super Bowl ring. I think it's all of us. I think that's what we play. We play this game for. We play it for to be part of a team that win it all. And that sucks that we didn't get a chance to bring it. The weirdest thing is that I got into the Hall of Fame the same year that the Seahawks won their first Super Bowl. So it's kind of like a bittersweet kind of moment, because I was part of the team that got us there, but we did finish the game. So I take my hat off to those guys to bring that trophy back to Seattle. But, if I had a chance to, because you can never take that back. You can't take the Hall of Fame back either, but I think in being part of a Super Bowl winning team, you have that connection for the rest of your life.
The reality is, too, you guys back then, I feel like you established a winning culture.
Definitely. I think you take the hat off and go back to having a great offensive line. I said that group of guys that we had, Steve Hutchinson, Robbie Toback, Chris Gray, Shaun Alexander, we definitely came together as a unit. I guarantee you, if you look at all the Super Bowl wins that all these teams had, they had a great offensive line, a well-connected offensive line. So to this day, we get together, and it seems like we haven't missed a beat. We can get together, we can talk and have a great time. And I think that's what, like you say, that's why you would give up everything for a Super Bowl win, because you never forget that no matter how long you haven't played, because I could go to the Hall of Fame and go to Canton, and you can see guys hanging out and talking, guys that haven't played in 20 years. But if they won together, they act like they had never missed a beat. So I think that's something that you can never take away from pro players, that you build a bond that you can never lose.
Robbie Tobeck, I've had him on the show before. He's said on record the two greatest athletes he ever played against or with were Deion Sanders and yourself. What does that mean to you to hear that?
That means a lot, man. I think that you show that the way that you approach this game, the way I approached it. I went out and did my job. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't all about trying to be in front of the TV or in front of the cameras. I wanted to go out there and fight with my guys. I think coming in the years that I came into the game, that was all about respect and going out there and proving it. You know, it wasn't about once you get drafted, you was proven. No, you had to get drafted, then go out there and prove it with a lot of the older vets. So for me, I think I came in at a perfect time where the position wasn't given to me. I had to go out there and earn it, and you earn it with a lot of older vets that really kind of you had to watch, and you had to go out there and be in battle so you could get that proof that you can play this game. Will
Shaun Alexander make the Hall of Fame, and should he make the Hall of Fame?
I think in time he will. You know, it's a tough battle with running backs, and you know, I think he will. You know, and sooner or later, because the numbers that he put up. You know, he had an MVP season. Was the first team to first running back to take this team to the Super Bowl. So it's just a matter of time. That list is so long, but I think sooner or later he definitely will get into the Hall of Fame.
What was it like when you first saw yourself in a Madden video game?
It was kind of weird, you know what I'm saying? Like my kids was born when I first got into the game, when I was playing the game. But when I got in the league, I was playing the game all the time. But then my kids were born, so I kind of faded away. I had twins, so I couldn't really play that much as I used to. So I kind of faded away. So I used to hear guys talking about Madden. I hear kids talking about Madden. So it was pretty cool. You know, I think that the cool thing about it is once you're done, and then you get these games to call you, and they want your likeness and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool to see that. And I think a lot of kids, when they get a chance to meet you up close, they let you know, hey, I got you on my Madden team. I got you on this. So it's pretty cool the way, and you know, you talk to a lot of people, and they kind of got it down pat to how I played the game, how I dominated guys on the field, and they definitely put it in the video game. So that was pretty cool, you know, to be a part of that, and you always be a part of it. You know, they have these all Madden teams that they do probably like every year or so. So to be a part of that, it's a tough list. So there's some great offensive linemen out there.
It's cool, and I feel like Madden, like NBA 2K, those games when they bring in like the legends and they have like the ultimate teams and dream teams and stuff like that. Like in some ways, you kind of live forever.
And that's pretty cool. You'll never die because you know, saying you have done so great in with this team, and even the younger fans now that you know they still understand the guys that did it before these guys, and they respect that. So you know, you enjoy every little moment that you get a chance to be recognized. You enjoy it and take it one day at a time.
Who was the funniest guy you played with in the Seattle Seahawks locker room?
The funniest guy? Oh, my God. I don't know. That was a running back. I don't know your name. His name was Reggie Brown. I thought he was pretty funny. Man, there was so many guys that's funny. You know, Robbie Tobeck was funny, man, in his own way. You know, Hasselbeck is pretty funny, too. You know, if he can get away with some of his jokes, he's pretty funny. So I would give it to those guys. Those guys are pretty funny. But, you know, when you with guys for, 10 hours a day, everybody be funny because everybody got their own way of making guys laugh. People say I was funny, but I just enjoy being around those guys. And when I laugh, everybody heard me laugh. So it was pretty awesome. You know, you think about it now, you know, everybody, you know, you talk to a lot of players, they always say it's the camaraderie. And I think the camaraderie is not playing football. It's just the moments in the locker room, on the plane, in the hotel room. So you miss those days where you just have fun and you didn't have to worry about nothing else but just getting ready and playing football.
You mentioned Matt Hasselbeck. I feel like he's one of the most underrated quarterbacks of his generation and a guy that was really consistent with you guys for quite a long time. And like you know, helped establish you kind of the winning foundation for the Seahawks, which led to this generation of Seahawks eventually bringing in a Super Bowl. What do you think his overall legacy is in Seattle and in the NFL?
Hey, they still love Matt Hasselbeck, man. I think what Matt Hasselbeck came from a winning culture. He had a chance to watch Brett Favre So I think when he came to Seattle, he had that kind of mentality. He understood the West Coast offense, got to get the ball out quick, dink and dunk down the field. So he was great at that, and that's pretty hard for a lot of quarterbacks. But I think he was a great move for Seattle and for Coach Holmgren, a guy that understood his offense. So all he had to do was, to put a great team in front of him, and you kind of knew that, he's going to get the job done. So I think for him to come here and to play with Holmgren was a pretty good move, and to kind of establish him as one of the great Seahawks quarterbacks.
Do you think that some teams should maybe take that approach a little bit, like maybe get a guy that's sat behind, a vet or a great, more often? I mean, I get the Baker Mayfields and the guys like Russell Wilson that come out of college and they're immediately starting and they're great and expectations have changed. But, let's face it, not everybody's Russell Wilson. Not everybody is going to be a phenom, a Pro Bowler, lead a team to the playoffs out of college. You look at Pat Mahomes. His first year, he sat behind Alex Smith. Yeah, he killed it his second year, but I'm sure he learned a lot from a veteran like Alex Smith. Would you like to see more teams kind of allow players to develop a little bit and kind of watch and learn before they're like thrown straight to the fire?
I don't know. I think it's different now. The game is different than back then. You could sit guys and draft guys high and sit those guys, but now with these owners and stuff, they see how quickly teams can turn it around now. The game is so imperative that now you can turn teams around just over 1 year. You look at what the Rams did, what we did. Things are happening so fast, so teams really and ownership and organization don't want to wait that long. I tell people all the time, it's like a microwave. We want it right now. So people want to see change now. They don't want to. When I came in the league, even though I was a first-round draft pick, number 6 overall, the thing about me, they said it'll take about 3 years before he figured it out. And it was probably about 3.5 years to 4 years before I figured out how to be, a consistent offensive lineman. So I totally understand that. But nowadays, you bring guys in the first round, you want them to come in and play and make a difference. And that's just the way it is. It'll probably recycle itself, but that's just the way it is. You have a few teams that does that, but it's all depends on what kind of quarterbacks you got in front of you that you can sit and watch and learn.
What's the biggest misconception of being a lineman?
That we're big eaters. I have a lot of people think that we just eat. We don't. We eat. I think me personally, I'm more of a muncher. I like to eat throughout the day. But a lot of the misconception is people think that we are big eaters and we're not. We like to eat, but we don't have to have the whole kitchen or a full plate. I go to my family's and eat, or go to a friend's house and they fix your plate and it's just like a freaking, like you're eating at a buffet or something. Like they misconstrue thinking that we're big eaters and we're really not. I don't know if they could take the football, but that's like one of the one things I deal with nowadays, that people assume that, oh, he's a lineman, he eat a lot of food, and I really don't. I eat, but I'm more of a snacker. I eat throughout the day, not where I'm just wait to the last and eat everything in the kitchen. No, I don't do that.
Right, and nothing about that question. Another misconception I feel like with linemen is like, not saying that you guys aren't perceived as smart, but sometimes it's always like the focus on the quarterback, or the focus is on the coach and the defense and everything else. But based on a lot of players I've talked to who've played the game and coached the game and everything, I mean, offensive linemen are some of the smartest guys, if not the smartest guys on the field. Can you explain that a little bit?
Hey, man, it has to, because you don't understand all the stuff that you have to deal with before you have to hear the play. You have to know, okay, if they give you study this defense, but they give you this defense, so you have to make the check. So you got to do all this in a 25-second clock. So, yes, we definitely have to be able to know what's going on, make a decision, and then make it happen. You can't make a mistake. So, yes, totally on that. And then you have to understand everything the quarterback is doing. Like you have to know if he make a check, why is he making a check? Because he see the safety coming down. So, for me personally, I tell people all the time, when I got in the league, I just played with blinders on my first 2 years in the league. All I do is block the end. I didn't care what the tackle on the other side of the guard. I didn't care what they was doing. I just didn't understand. You think all you do is just come off the ball and block the guy in front of you. But, in my third, fourth year, I could see the whole field. I could even see what was going on over at the right tackle. I could see the safety coming down. So, I could see the whole field. I could know why he checked it. So I think as linemen, we just have to know everything. We have to see movement. We have to see different alignments, and then does the play change? And all the quarterback says is one word, and now that play has changed, and now we got to run it. In a 5-second interval, you got to be able to run that play and be successful at it.
It's like the old saying, the greats make it look easy. But when you're actually in there, I mean, it's a hell of a lot harder.
Oh, definitely, man. It's so hard, man. I tell you, man, it's, a lot of times people ask you, like, who's the guy you this? I'm like, man, everybody, because once your name get out there, guys want to beat you. Guys want to get sacks on you. So, yeah, you have to go out there and stay focused the entire game. And 9 times out of 10, when one of the greats give up a sack, it'd be that guy probably got on the focus or something that he did. It's mostly never what the guy did. It's always sometimes what the lineman do. And if you stay focused and stay with what you know, it's pretty hard to get beat by guys.
And I can't let you go without talking about your late great teammate Cortez Kennedy, defensive tackle, played his entire career with the Seattle Seahawks. Following his untimely passing, you made a positive impact, not only keeping his memory alive, but establishing what you've called the 96 check. Could you tell people a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, man. I give everything to Tez, man. When I came to the league, Tez was that veteran guy that kind of showed me the way. He was basically when I came here, he was the team. If you didn't know Cortez Kennedy, you didn't know the Seahawks. So from that standpoint, and he was tough on me my first couple of years because I came in the league when it was all about guys wanted to see you in the fire. See when times get tough, and then you go out there and prove yourself. Then those veteran guys will start letting you hang out with them, and you start having conversations and stuff, and they kind of take you under their wings, man. So Tez definitely did that for me, and I tried to live my pro career the same way. Try to get to know everybody. Tez was great at letting people, understand and be nice to the people upstairs. A lot of times, those places are divided. Like you got the management, then you got us, and you never kind of connect with those people. And Tez definitely knew everybody. So I tried to make it my business to know those people and get to know those people, let them know that, hey, they're part of our success too, the things that they do too. So Tez was great at that. So on his untimely death, man, it was tough on me. It was hard because it seemed like I just couldn't imagine it, and it's tough for Fred. But, the thing about Tez, what he always used to do during the off season was he would call you out the blue randomly, just call you and check on your family. He was great at doing that kind of stuff. So once he passed, I think that was the number one thing that stuck with me. So I decided to do that. So every year on his birthday, I do 96 checks. So his birthday is September the 6th. I want to say the 96. I think I'm saying that right. I think it's right. It was just September. So what I do is an initiative where I want players to call people. And a lot of times we get so busy in our life that we don't check on people, or we talking on the phone so much we don't ask people how they doing. It's always business like. So I try to tell people to always check on people that you play with, check on your parents, check on your friends that you went to high school with, people that you haven't talked to in a long time that, you're not calling for nothing. You just saying, hey, I'm just calling to check on you. So that's how I started the 96 check initiative.
That's great stuff, and you're definitely honoring his legacy by doing that and encouraging other players and people to do that. Before I let you go, man, I really do appreciate the time. Where can fans find you online? Where can they find you on TV in Seattle and on radio, I guess? And tell us a little bit about your clothing line and everything else you got going on in 2019.
Oh, definitely, man. I tell you what, man. You can try. I do a post game show on King 5. That's the NBC station here. It's called The Fifth Quarter. It's with Paul Civey. If you're from Seattle, you know the local stations here. Anywhere you can find it on King 5 station. It's called The Fifth Quarter. It's every Sunday night after Sunday Night Football in the local areas of Seattle. I do a radio show 3 times a week. I do 2 call-ins. That's on 950 KJR here, AM 950 KJR. I do one on a Monday. I think the Monday, Tuesday, and I do a Thursday in studio where it's called In the Trenches. So that's something that I do every Thursday throughout the season. You can check me out. I have a clothesline. It's called The Best to Ever Do It. It's called B2EDI. The Best to Ever Do It. You can check out my website at The Best to Ever Do It, B2EDI.com, where you can find. I have hats, I have T-shirts, I have hoodies. I'm working on a whole lot of stuff for the season, upcoming season. So check me out. Come out and try to support me. Or go to the website and support my brand. Like I say, it's something that is feel good clothes where you putting on something that you feel good when you go out and say, hey, I want to be the best today, so I want to rock big walk stuff.